And she's got cats in the house and in the barn.
Wow.
She and her critters, she's happy.
A lot of chipmunks by you?
No, an occasional groundhog,
Last little.
chipmunks, squirrels, foxes. Yeah, but
I know, it's like living in
and
the middle of
deer,
the country, isn't it?
you think?
Turkeys?
Huh?
Turkeys?
Just ours. I haven't seen any wild ones.
There's 23 of them come in our yard 2-3 times a day to get something to eat.
Uh-huh. Oh, this is a
Yeah, there's strawberries on the
Oh,
list.
thanks, it's a hard color to find out.
We'll go with that.
I do have one green shirt that's almost the same. It's really
Yes.
You really missed my meeting last time.
Yes, I did. A lot of arguing, Well, the nurses came and just couldn't get away.
No.
I gotta get rid of And now I am discharged, so I'm my own person now.
I know my sister was in hospital for 7-8 days. She's at her pressure still high, her kidney numbers are still bad.
And they let her out?
And she has a UTI. No. It was just laying in bed. She was just laying in bed. I don't know, doctor came down and said, get up, get your robe on. So I went for a walk. So I went for a long walk. She made it, so I ended up taking the next day. We had discharged. But during that time, all of the furniture came for her new place in town. So when we took her home, we took her home.
It's not the same as what you emailed us, is it? This is different than what you told her earlier.
She's not
Skimmed over
got a lot
it,
of
Jamie, I didn't, were you,
Well,
what discrepancies are you?
I'm getting
Well,
up
just-
and I'm
this-
doing
this
things for
was-
myself,
this was in
and
there.
Kimmy makes my meals for me, and
It wasn't mine, you had
I
it
take
smoked
my
down.
sugar all myself. I take my
Got a
bath,
different
and
attachment.
I'm trying,
Yeah, right.
but it's a slow process.
Oh, yeah. I'm afraid my sister does too. We had a group of family together for lunch and her Dr. Margie said she just didn't feel strong.
Well, going into public, it's hard work. Getting out of the car, walking in and all that.
Oh, well, I was visiting.
We ready?
I was sitting still. She was up, she was down, she was up, she was down.
I was in the hospital for 4 days. They said, go home and wait for the results of all the testing. They never called back.
Wow.
So I figured
Are we ready, guys?
it's all, I was dehydrated.
She was too.
And that's what all my symptoms
The
were.
UTI.
Yeah.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
signing sheet.
I'm way up here. You show lots of it.
Carol, pass the sign to Neil.
All right, roll call. Lance here. Roger? Here. Chris?
Here.
James Arlo? Here. Carol?
Here.
Ellen?
Here.
Neil?
Here.
And Tom Schweihhofer.
Yep.
All right, everybody's here. Agenda approval. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as is.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
carries. Next on the agenda, approval of the minutes of August 27th, 2025, including both public hearings from AJ's and Iannucci. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the minutes are approved of August 27th.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Communications, we have none. 7 is the guest speaker. Introduction of McKenna as the Planning Commission's new planning advisor.
Oh, there is. You're good to go.
Hi, good evening. My name is Brian Kesey, and this is my colleague Ashley Jankowski. We're here on behalf of McKenna. We're a planning firm with about 45 to 50 years of experience in the state of Michigan, working in tiny villages, large urban communities, rural townships, and cities of various character, lake communities, agricultural communities, downriver communities all across the state. So we've been in contact with Greg. Ashley, of course, has been working on your master plan, and we understand that you are looking for some professional guidance in terms of planning commission and action on some difficult applications that are coming before you, and just a bit of forethought in terms of updates that you can make to the zoning ordinance and your procedures that will help the development process or the what's the word I'm looking for? The controlled development of your community a bit more. So our hope is that we are able to help you in that endeavor. We're here tonight to speak on some of the applications that are in front of you. We do typically prepare review letters based on your zoning ordinances and best planning practices. So anytime that the township sends a request to assist with any of those applications, we're happy to do so, and any other services that we can provide. So nice to meet you all this evening. And
Nice meeting you.
any questions for us, I'm happy to take them.
All right.
I have a question. Did anybody on this board ask for a consultant for planning?
We were supposed to have a planning consultant because the one we had quit.
Okay. I just don't remember anybody on the board requesting it, that's all.
Yeah, because we had one and he up and quit, so we didn't have a planning consultant at that point in time.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns? All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to unfinished business.
Public comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, public comments. Is there anybody that would like to speak?
Good evening, board members. I'm Rachel, address 8518 River Road. I live directly next to the proposed property of 8528. And I'm here to respectfully object the proposed townhouse development on this parcel. And I ask you to apply Cottrellville's RM1 standards exactly as they are written. I spent hours poring over all the ordinances and area and bulk requirements, 50-foot setbacks, 30-foot side and rear setbacks, and a maximum of 25%, excuse me, 25% lot coverage, and no more than 3 stories or 40 feet in height. Depending on what you're looking at, that parcel, on paper it's 1.37, online it's less than an acre. So with that said, it leaves a very small buildable area. The density rules calculated as rooms by greater than 80 square feet divided by 1,600. The building and spacing requirements are at least 30 feet between buildings. Minimum floor areas require a minimum of 600 square feet for one bedroom, up to 1,000 feet for 3 bedrooms. When you combine the density formula, 50, 30, 30, and 25% lot coverage, the building-to-building spacing, and the parking limits, the minimum size units, it's not feasibly to lawfully fit 3 to 4 units in that little parcel. If we continue to go through with the building proposal as is, I request a density worksheet, I request a dimensional plan, and I request a spacing and parking diagram also. Overall, I'm concerned, resident in neighborhood or neighboring property owner. Looking at the paperwork that was provided, it does say 1.37 acres. However, there is an X going over the waterfront properties. So what are we going with here on terms of acreage and space? Is it less than an acre? Is it over an acre? Will the tenants have access to the waterfront or not? Also going through the paperwork further, it was mentioned that there was a vacant and abandoned building. That building, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, was the old guard shack from the ferry. Roger tore that down when he built his new home. So that just proves that we are dealing with dated information here. It's my understanding there's just been no site plan submissions done. If there hasn't been a site plan submission, how are we able to go forward with this proposal? Regarding the traffic study that was in the paperwork also, when was this traffic study conducted? Was it formal and on-site? Because I don't recall seeing anybody there. And unfortunately, right now, I am home 24/7, and I've seen no such officials doing any of that. Or was this a generational model-based projection? When was this data collected? Was it during the summer, during our most busiest tourist season? Or was it during the winter downtime season? Right now, we're dwindling. It's not as busy right now, but in the height of the summer tourist season, traffic is astronomical. I have concerns over privacy, noise, and light pollution. How are we going to prevent the tenants and occupants from accessing neighboring properties? Will the townhouse bylaws explicitly prohibit trespassing on your neighboring properties? I purchased a waterfront home to not have to close my blinds 24/7. I want to see the water, I want to see the greenery, I want to be able to smell the river, I want to smell the fresh air. I don't want to have to see headlights, I don't want to see noise or see blatant traffic, and I don't want to hear all the excess noise that's going to come from it. Granted, I knew I bought a home on a major thoroughfare, but nonetheless, it's just going to be that much more increased activity. And then regarding the last meeting, that was not published for public review. If it wasn't for a private citizen here who was recording, how would anybody know what happened here? With that said, if you don't have access to social media, you wouldn't have been able to see it. Were the residents in Conley Street, who live directly behind me on the other side of the bike path, were they also notified, knowing that they're going to have a townhouse complex built in front of them? And in closing, I just respectfully request that the Planning Commission addresses each of these questions before advancing this proposal any further. At a minimum, updated and accurate site information, a formal traffic study conducted under realistic expectations, and clear privacy protections should be required before this project proceeds. I chose to leave the city and subdivision life behind for a big reason. I wanted some peace, I wanted some privacy, and I wanted a sense of community, not to be disrupted by the dense development. Yet once again, gentrification, money, and profit seem to have taken precedence over the well-being of residents and the character of our community. I strongly urge the Commission to prioritize community values over self-gratification and short-term gain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board?
Give me a reason.
No, go ahead.
Supporting what, Frank Lorkowski, 8407 River. Supporting everything that Ms. Schaaf had just talked about. If you look up the property highlights on St. Clair County, this has been up to date as of this morning. That is exactly 0.9 acres. The survey that was included in the pack was an old property ID from an older survey that included the new parcel number written in the side. This had included the extra square footage on the river side that was crossed out, if you look at your document. I'd like to request a complete survey of 177690005-001 exclusive before a vote, so we know exactly how many square feet we're dealing with. That makes a huge difference. We can't go into any assumptions anymore. Very tight there. Huge runoff issues. Potentially, we want to make sure we're going to not have any adverse issues. We need to make sure that all of the information and data we are dealing with is relevant and pertinent. And that's all I request from the board. I still support rezone to an R1. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Hi there. I also want to address Mr. Iannucci because we are direct neighbors and abutting to the property and across the street from him. And a few things is the August 27th was not recorded, and it's also not available in documentation anywhere for the public to see or understand. I'm sorry. Good, I'm glad it's being recorded. That was one of my questions for tonight is this being recorded? Because I think there's a gap somehow with the public information. I think we weren't even told about this meeting. I kept looking online and nothing was posted, and we were not informed consistently. And I'd agree with one of Frank's messages from last week. I think going forward, it would be great to see signs for the public to see on the road under consideration so they can do their own research. Otherwise, so many people in our neighborhood don't know, including the people behind us. So I think for me, I'm trying to keep the emotion out of it because it's been very stressful for us. Mr. Iannucci has imposed a significant challenge to the renovations we're doing on our house and has blatantly kind of mistreated our contractors. And my husband and I, in our 37 years of marriage, have never had a neighbor like this. Since we met him, he's been very friendly, but he's also very forceful in what he wants. And our experience, my experience especially, has been a bit of a bully. And I think that there's a nature to how do you promote change? How do you embrace a neighborhood that's existed for 100 years with, for instance, Scott's family being there? And
Seek him.
pardon?
You're is she not supposed to be addressing Lane?
I think it's okay to address Roger. We see each other regularly, and I don't receive any further conversation or eye contact, so I think it's important for me to let Mr. Iannucci understand that.
My turn's coming.
Yeah, I'm grateful. Anything else I think it's about neighborhood. I think it's about hearing from our neighbors, the unfortunate changes that have continued to evolve with his proposal and sort of lack of detail. We're not sure what the actual final thing is. It could change after your approval. How do we know about that? The land encroachments need to be fixed before approval, I believe. Again, it's an experience we haven't experienced in our 37 years of marriage or in my 67 years of life in different types of communities, growing up in southeast Michigan, living in rural, living in urban. I've never experienced anything like this before, so.
What's your address again, ma'am?
8540 River Road, Cottrellville. And it would be super helpful to get the township to somehow post things more efficiently. There should have been at least a skeleton agenda of some sort. I see our proposals on the front door, and nothing about this meeting is posted anywhere. So I had to search it out, and it's still not online. So, came an email at 3 p.m. again today, so I appreciate your time and considerations for really listening to the neighbors, listening to the people that have lived there for 30 years, 100 years. There's a significant change that is being proposed, and we all understand that, but it's something that should be done carefully and with specific intentions for best results for everyone. Very concerned about the traffic and that curve in the road. He identifies the curve in the road as the one over at Roberts last meeting, and the curve in the road that has the highest lack of visibility is right at that entry to his property, so that's a concern. We don't want any fatalities, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board?
Got that case over with?
I'll address a few things while I'm at, but I'd like to read something I put together so that everybody pretty much catches up with what they didn't hear at the last meeting because it wasn't recorded by accident, but it happened that way. There was a time that Roberts Landing, what I'm talking about here, where we're all familiar with, the area. And by the way, it's Roger, E539 River Road, Iannucci. Roberts Landing was truly a destination. The ferry operated from the early 1700s in its different forms, and it closed in 1988. It had a gas station, a confectionery, a general store, muffler shop, Vic's Bar, Vic's Pizzeria, the roller rink, the dance floor, axe and pick hand factory, and a lot more. Not to mention the ferry that brought back and forth commerce from Canada to Roberts Landing. Scott Mazzola was right. That's no more. The non-visionaries pushed everyone to the brink, but they lasted. Even the customs office had to close for lack of traffic. And then no more ferry. Their ideas were based on personal feelings, not shared opportunity. They wanted no one to share the waterfront, but keep it for themselves. That was the end of Roberts Landing. It was as it was designed. It was, and I could have continued as the heart of downtown Cottrellville, as its downtown area. Does Cottrellville have a downtown? No. That was your downtown. It's gone. Instead, Marine City and Algonac, they benefited from all this hard work that Cottrellville put together, because they were the first ferry. They have a ferry in Algonac, still goes to Canada. What do we have? Here we are today, they're complaining about too much traffic. This is a bedroom community. And Roberts Landing is a destination. Seriously, what is the destination we're talking about? Okay. They speed through Roberts Landing to get to those destinations. As I stated in the last meeting, we don't have a traffic problem, we have a speeding problem. It needs to be enforced. MDOT has disproven any concerns of traffic volume and no accidents or incidents in this corridor. This shows it would take 50 to 60 units before it would have any minimal impact. And we're not proposing anything of the nature. George Westergaard wants to preserve the history, but yet his property is an RM1 that he uses as an Airbnb. Now, how ironic is that? Or does he consider this a competition? Is that perhaps what it is? I don't know. To my knowledge, the only historical thing is a ferry sign that's on my property that I had restored. Is there another piece of history here that we can see at Roberts Landing? Can someone point one out? Okay. Fred Roberts and his girlfriend Jackie spent many an afternoon in my home going over the history and the potential and the future of his namesake. I only wish he was here, lived long enough to see that sign go back up. Most of the other homes in the neighborhood, they're B2. They're not even allowed to live here by zoning, but they're living in B2. And they're renovating in B2. And living there at the same time. I suggest they pay the fee and get themselves rezoned to RM1. That would be beautiful for everyone. So if they want to see potential, there's where it's at. I researched with the water department, spoke with Nick, and there's more than enough infrastructure for proposed anything going in there. No one has to change their habits, walking, biking, hunting, utilizing their own property. And no one's going to be trespassing on your property. I put no trespassing sign on my property because I had contractors trespassing. And I asked one thing of the Jarvises. Get me a licensed contractor and I want insurance to cover me. If they get hurt on my property, I'm covered. They refused to do that. Both the contractor and them. So I said, fine, then you can't use my property. The other issue I have, they've been trying to circumvent Cottrellville's building codes. They apply for one thing and do another. They said they were going to re-roof a house. They tore the whole superstructure off and rebuilt it without a permit until they got caught. I'm sure they're blaming me for that, but they got caught. They also have a garage that sits 3 feet onto my property. First they were going to tear it down, then they said, no, we can fix it. I said, fine, fix it, but move it off the property. They refused to do that, so they started restoring it without a permit again, and they were stopped again by the township. So who is not following rules and regulations?
Who's presenting?
Who's what?
Presenting inappropriately.
You are. They trespassed on the property again to do the garage. Has it moved? No. I propose you get your rezoning done as well.
We are.
I'm glad to hear that. But until it's done, and that garage is moved.
That's in process.
Okay, very, very good. So that's what I wanted to say. I want to get that clear because, you know what? If I'm such a bad guy for wanting to protect myself and my family, then I'm a bad guy. But I don't want anybody trespassing unless I have insurance. Pretty simple. So I have to believe the contractor is not licensed and not insured. Because the contractor directly spoke with me, and I said, just get me insurance. You can work off the property. He said, I'm not going to do that. I said, you're not or you can't? He said, I'm not a builder like you. He said, I can't do that. So, what would you do? Would you allow someone, roofing especially, one of the most hazardous jobs, to fall onto your property where there's some pieces of fencing left over? So, that's what I have to say. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like some things need to be clarified, but don't stop looking.
Whoever's next.
Okay.
Brian,
to provide some of that stuff, so.
go ahead.
The 3 feet that you're talking about, there's a law after 15 years, it rolls into the established fence line. I know this is, I went, let me finish here, you talking, that's my turn.
Okay.
I went through the same situation, I got it approved because of the law. It's been 50 years that fence has been there. That building's been there since I was a kid. Now, that should have been addressed 50 years ago, it wasn't, but now it's come up, it should be. You talk to the lawyers, they'll tell you, that's the law, it's gonna get written in and be done.
It's called adverse possession.
Okay, there you go. But the harassment I've watched you do to these people is uncalled for at all.
Not harassment.
You're sitting around snapping pictures,
No, I
you're
have-
hiding behind your car.
I have
You went over and you
camera.
had Greg Abbey Sunday come over there screaming and yelling at the contractor. This is all necessary.
All right.
Unnecessary. So these are some of the issues that we've been dealing with. I understand he wants to get what he wants, but you know, we gotta have a little bit of diplomacy here. This problem wasn't bought when they bought the place, they had no idea. As far as they're concerned, that building was there as part of the property, it's been there for 50 years, that I know of. So I had that same issue when the township bought the park, they rezoned, okay, yeah, no problem. So, gave me the 3 feet, end of story. But now he doesn't want to recognize that issue. It wasn't their fault when they bought that property. It was there as is, there's the visual. They didn't do a survey when he bought it 6 years ago to see if there was any issues. But this harassment, it's just beyond reprehension. It shouldn't be happening. If we have a disagreement, fine, we have a disagreement. It doesn't mean we gotta be mad at each other. It's just how life is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But from what I saw, uncalled for at all. So I can understand where they feel uncomfortable. They moved from out of state, Massachusetts. Here's their welcome mat. Okay, we're gonna build this, fix this building up, which was in bad shape, to improve our neighborhood. It's not diminishing it, it's making it better. And he's resisting this. He wants you to tear it down, he wants you to move this, because it doesn't fit in with his plan. But they didn't know that when they bought it. When the real estate sold it, they said, hey, this is the place, this is what you got. It's okay, we'll buy it, we'll move in, make a home. And since then, it's been nothing but chaos because of the zoning, because of what it's zoned. Now, he's talking about the contractors being on his property. The reason for that is, there's only 1 foot. 1 foot.
4 inches.
From their building to his property, 1 foot. What are they supposed to do? He asked him if he could do that, and that wasn't your first answer. This is all new to me. But he said, no, I want you on my property. So now these people are trying to make the building better, make the community better, make it survive and do it right. He's resisting. So with that kind of action, I gotta say, I'm not impressed at all. So, you know, it is what it is, whatever happens, happens. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but we should be able to hear ourselves, we should be able to speak our mind without retaliation.
What's your address, sir?
8556 River Road. Like I say, I have nothing against Roger. I don't care who owns the property. I would protest this because I worked 40 years going back and forth to live in this environment. I didn't move out here and keep this place all my life for my family for 3 generations to come out here and live next to a complex. That was my whole point of living where I live, because it's a resort area, it's where you go to retire. It isn't where you go to have a building next to you with multiple dwellings. That's city living. That's not what we're about. We've got our own park, we've got the state park, we've got the bike path, we've got international water, we've got the river. It's not designed where we're sitting at this point to build multiple dwellings, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, I state my case. So it is what it is.
All righty, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Greg Abbey, 6776 Marple Road. Yes, I want to address a couple things that were mentioned about me and what I did. Yes, I did. I did address the Jarvises, the contractor. Their property is a Class B non-conforming property. According to our zoning ordinances and our rules under the non-conforming designations, They're only allowed to repair property 50% of the value of the SEV. They claim that work is $39,000, that's fine. But they've substantially changed the look, style, and aesthetics of the building, which is against the non-conforming Class B designation. It is meant to just do maintenance and repair, and they have completely rebuilt the entire roof structure. Yes, I did yell at their contractor because the front room of the building is also gutted with brand new electrical, among other things. So yes, I was trying to enforce the ordinances when that was done. That addresses that issue. That's the only thing I'm going to speak on, is why enforcement action is being done in this community, as I said it would be when I took office. Thank you.
Sure.
The first month we were here,
In the microphone, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can hear.
the first month we moved here and met with the township on what to do with this building. As you all may know, it was the antique shop that had been probably neglected for a number of years as Glynis and her husband aged in place and passed away eventually. And it was completely overrun with animals and natural vegetation, and it was a piece of work. A couple of things is the reception we received with all of the admin staff, including Greg and Nick and Barb in the front hall, and for several weeks was, oh, great, take care of it, make it safe, make it livable. And then suddenly that voice changed when this proposal started coming forward stronger and stronger. And the fact that it's a non-complying, they were trying to enforce that we shouldn't be living there while constructing, but it's been a home for 60 years. The Francises who built the antique shop in the 60s, and then the Barbers who then took it over for the past 35 years, they lived in that home. So it's been a very confusing scenario to understand this sudden trying to shut us down. They actually disrupted the workers' efforts 2 or 3 times, so the scheduling of everything is just delayed. And as far as they had to rip down the roof. They found 6 roofs in the middle section with the original post office. 1860, 1880, 1920, 1950. So the more they tried to undo it or build it, you can't build over it. It was rotted. There was an incredible amount of animal debris that needed to be exhumed, and I believe that has done an extraordinary job being able to stabilize this building for another 100 years. And that was our builder's goal, to make it habitable, to make it safe. Yes, we have new electrical. We were told to take care of the electrical by Greg and those guys. It had knob and tube wiring in there and animals chewing, and, it's not the rosiest picture to live in while you're reconstructing, but, we were up for a project and we're used to challenges in different ways. So we took it on, and it's just become so painful to just proceed without these bizarre antics kind of around us. And, we get the insurance thing, but he put them through contortions to just get their job done, and they are making it safe. And there's a lot of compliments on the building itself and what's being done, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? Go ahead, sir.
Save the best for last. My name's Tom Fordall, 3510 Roberts Road for 54 years.
Did you say 3510?
3510. Seeing we're talking about, shows your area. What? Seeing we're worried about cleaning up down there, let's start with Junkyard Joe. He has done nothing that he's supposed to do. A waste oil barrel isn't a 300-gallon barrel you push around in the parking lot when it's in the way. It's supposed to be in a self-contained pit, which he ain't got. Where's the 4-foot berm he was supposed to put up? Nothing he's done, from what you tell him. He's not supposed to work on cars outside. He works on cars outside all day long. He stole electricity from Kmart's. He stole electricity from the house on M29 for 20 years. He's in a building that's not safe because the pizza boys took out the center support. And I could go on, but it's got to be done. No one's called Eagle. All these people, nobody's called Eagle. I'm sure if supervisor so-and-so called or building inspector so-and-so, we'd get a lot better results than old Tom Furr on Roberts Road. But I'm gonna call tomorrow morning and every day until they show up. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address?
Yeah, my name is Brian, I'm the developer that's investing in the project currently. And before we get involved in a my address is 4542 Van Dyke Avenue, Shelley Township, Michigan. Before we get involved in a project, we seek out a bunch of information. First and foremost would be a survey of the property. I've heard mention that it's 0.9 acres, I've heard mention it's 1.35 acres. There was a survey that was done, and the survey is on file. That parcel has its own parcel ID. If you're familiar with it, if you have the survey in front of you, the parcel ID for this piece of property that's 1.35 acre is known as 74-17-769-0006-000. That is the southerly eastern 215 feet of lot number 28. Do you guys see that on the survey that's been provided? It runs parallel with the, right on the side here. It says lot 27 and then the lot number 28. Are you familiar with that?
You did say 00.
So it says southerly 50 feet of easterly, and I've got a proposed.
That's their part.
Yes, I know, yes. So do you see that lot number 28?
Yep.
Okay, so if you look at this plot plan that was done, this is this parcel, 1.35 acres right here, okay? If you look directly across, it says south 50 feet, lot number 2 and lot number 3. Those have additional parcel ID numbers, 74-17-769-007 and then 769-008. So those parcel ID numbers, I think what was confusing here is the parcels that sit on the river that Mr. Iannucci owns, they think that those were being subtracted from this lot, when in fact they have their own parcel ID numbers.
The St. Clair County has those is different numbers. I'm just letting you know what was downloaded immediately.
This has its own ID number.
I know, I just said that. Yeah,
that's my house.
I know. Okay.
This is a person.
I'd like to show you this, if you guys want to see. This
This is not good. I mean, you can't read that. That's what was on.
So the items were not updated.
So I went to the county, and it's been updated. This is what they have now. When he needed the property on the riverside to his existing house, all the property IDs changed. I don't believe this gentleman believes that. I would like to see the square footage of said property with that property ID that doesn't come up all blurred. Something that we can identify.
It's right here, the survey's here, and it's been actually surveyed by a professional engineer, and can you hold on?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't grab anything from you, so please don't grab anything from me. Okay.
Okay, I was flipping around.
All right, on April, I want to look at the name, or number, on the date of April 30th of 2025.
Yes.
The survey was done.
Correct.
That survey was submitted.
That piece of property, because it's no longer, because that's deeded here now. It's still on that property as is. Sorry.
Why does it have a separate parcel ID number then?
That's for you to explain.
That's not for me to explain, that would be...
Yes, it is.
That would be because somebody misentered information on the county's website.
See, That's.
Go ahead. Just so you know, I want to clarify.
I wanna see
The
that.
parcel on the water has its own ID, and the parcel next to the old store has its own ID as well now. Barb has it here, it's recorded, and the county has it recorded as well. So that piece that's on the water itself is separate from the original piece. The one that's on the water is .11 acres, and the one on, that we're talking about rezoning is 1.35 acres.
There's a third of an acre discrepancy, and it's hard to believe that there's that much.
Yeah, there's something wrong with the math on what they've provided you guys.
This is what we get.
Well, the only thing I can see is that it's labeled on the certificate of survey here, proposed parcel 1, which proposed parcel 1, even though that section that is crossed out is all what we see here at that point in time, from what I can see.
When you're looking at, when you're seeing it's all crossed out.
That was my original complaint. I'd like to see a complete survey and setbacks, please, before we decide to vote.
Barb has that in the office,
Unless,
right here.
does that
Well,
say
we have to get
proposed
an
parcel
accurate
2?
survey first before we can.
I can't read that.
Recorded survey with the county, St. Clair.
It says lot
You guys want to see it?
lot 2, lot 1, and lot 3.
Twice. Matter of fact, the same stakes came in when they had surveys on their property.
Okay, parcel 1 is up here, so we're on one here.
What does that say?
I gave them the parcel.
That's the hard.
They gave me the parcel.
I know, and, but their square footage doesn't match yours. That's where my discrepancy is.
Because of the way it's crossed
So
out.
that's between you and them, and I think that we should, until that is figured out, we should not be making a decision. Because if it's less than an acre, it should be an R1. Okay, that's all I'm after, is I want accuracy and I want data. And these copies of copies of copies are garbage, especially when you download online.
And there's a large.
From my understanding, this sealed copy has been made available to the township clerk.
Right. It's here in the office.
I don't know if you guys require a FOIA act or however you require it for your information, but I think the certificate of survey that you guys are referring to, if it's here and it's on file, I think you guys should get it. Ask them for a copy of it, because this is from a licensed certified engineer, state of Michigan. It was done in April, and it shows that this parcel, with parcel ID, is 1.35 acres. When we did our research and we received, that's what we look for. We want to make sure that we've got enough to build, if we're applying to build, that we've got enough square footage that we can do such, and we look for a certified survey that's done by a professional licensed engineer. So I would actually reach out to them tomorrow to see if you can obtain a copy of that, because that's one of the, sounds like one of the sticking points.
The onus is on you to determine whether you're correct or the county, because the county has different than you. So the onus is on you to prove that you are correct now, not on me to prove you incorrect.
This is what we get right here.
Yeah, that looks like I could draw that at home on a drafting board.
And it says .9.
Right, so,
That's what,
some way, somehow, this didn't transfer over. This did not get transferred over from when it got sent in, and it should have been recorded. I'd show a recording stamp on this, by the way, through the engineer.
I just want to make sure that we don't make a hasty decision, realize it's too small, and we're totally committed, and they're like, oh, well, that's the way it goes. I do not want to fall into that category either, okay?
So, the other issue was the traffic, okay? MDOT did a traffic study. One of the questions that came out of it was peak period, okay? So we were able to obtain a traffic study, a traffic count, and the traffic count was done in June, which would have been a high, and in August, okay? And the last count that was done was last year, in 2024. They're showing a negative growth of 6% in traffic count within cars, okay? And I believe this traffic count the board has as well. If not, we can get copies over to you. And if you look at the growth of this traffic study, it started in 2009, and it's proceeded all the way through every single year to 2024, okay? With the density. Now, it's giving me average daily traffic. In 2024, there were 4,335 cars. In 2023, there was 4,617. In 2022, there were 4,487. 2021, 4,469. So, looking at the amount of cars, just in that 4-year span, they're pretty much within 8 to 10%, up or down.
Point of order though, the LAX State Park was closed in 2024, so all of that traffic was not included in the 2024 at all, so.
Well, then how did you maintain the same amount of cars in 2024 that you did in 23, 22, and 21?
More than because people weren't going to the state park, which is another draw, that's why we're a lakefront resort area.
Okay, so in 2023, when the park was open, there was 4,617 cars. In 2022, there was 4,487. In 2021, there was 4,469. So there were more in those 3 years when the park was open, right? Or there was more in 2024 when the park was closed, you're saying, than there was when the park was open?
Well, that means there's probably an incremental increase if the park was open.
Of 12 to 15% when the park's closed?
Yeah, well.
So people are going up and down the road more? They're not going to the park?
The park did not have traffic. All I'm saying is that there's a considerable amount of traffic that goes through Roberts Landing when the park is open. If the park is closed, if there were 10 cars that went through in 2024, there's 24 cars that went through in 2025 because the park's open. And if we don't have the 2025 data, I think what you're talking is moot.
Well, the 2025 data is not in yet. However, they can obtain that data if they need to. Right now, these are the numbers that I have.
Okay.
Now, we're talking about multifamily. If we're talking multifamily, if 4 units were there and there's an average of 1 car per unit or 2 cars, that's 8 cars. So 8 cars, is that going to create a huge density problem?
I know there's a density problem, but I think there's a concern folks have, is a point of entry and egress.
But the setbacks on the property allow for that. Because you can't build that close. It's 50 feet off of the road.
Did they do a speed analysis also?
That would be a traffic study done by them.
Nobody does 35.
But that's a totally different issue.
Yeah.
That's another argument.
Right on the curve.
Building a place for people to live and people speeding
Line of sight.
There is a problem.
I did sit there over the weekend. This is just my own observations. Only voice said this is not an official study. There's a bit of a line of sight issue. We have a similar area in the township too. If you're turning off Marsh from Shea, no, that's a much higher speed limit zone, but it is a route I travel frequently through the week coming home. And in that case, there's the similar type thing is if you look up, there's no car coming, you're pulling out, there's a car coming, and you are on the throttle to accelerate the
We have
vehicle.
tried for years to get that speed limit down, and they just...
You're probably not gonna get it under 35, but...
Fred tried it for years to get it done.
Like when I pull out my driveway, I gotta look twice, because by the time I pull out, they're already around that curve.
Correct.
They're right there.
Yeah, that's where I think they're kind of expressing concern. It's
What happens when the park goes to the south of there? Is that still going to be a concern? Because you're only talking 100 feet from there, there's a park going in, correct? Public park?
It's a straightaway at that point.
The road does straighten out after that point.
And the park's also not gonna have, streetlights, lit parking 24 hours, people coming and going. We're gonna have residents, not tenants.
Because what, 45 miles an hour, it's 35, but so 35.
But it sounds like the township can make a fortune if they put a police officer there with a radar gun.
You're doing 10 over, you're gonna be what, close to 70 feet per second?
Like you said, the big question is, what is that number? What is the dimension rate of the road for this parcel?
That's what I was trying to...
That's...
Yeah, 50.38, I'm sorry.
50.
The meets are 50.37, the rods are 50.32.
How many one-family units are we talking here?
We don't know yet because we don't have a zoning designation, so we haven't plotted it out, we haven't laid it out with the engineers. And we would be working directly hand in hand with the McKenna here, as well as our engineers, which is SKL.
Well, I'm sure you've done quite a few of these projects. I mean, you gotta have like a rough idea, you know, like between 3 and 6, or 5 and 8, or...
It varies from township to township and from designation to designation based on setbacks. Like, the setback before that I had researched is totally different from the setback that I was just given this evening, which is 50-30-30. So, the buildings would have to be, they would have to fit in here, like, how many parcels, I don't know yet. I have to work with the fire department, with designation on the turnaround for the fire truck. If we have a fire there, we've got to be able to get the truck in and out. Obviously, there's some green space area that has to take place. So I don't know yet because we haven't gotten that far. Right now, what we wanted to do is get a certificate of survey, to have it surveyed so we know what the proper size is. And then we wanted the designation to go from B2 to an RM1. Because, you know, within the township ordinances here, I looked on 2020 ordinances, there is a designation for RM1, it's suggested, and then McKenna also did a report, they find no issue with it as well. Obviously, we would work back and forth with the engineers and the department here to figure out how many, but we don't know. We're not building 3 stories, we're building a 2-level, first floor, second floor. So we're not trying to, you know, build 50 of these. That would be too dense for this project.
But you're going blind, you have no idea how many you're gonna build.
No, we're not going blind. First, we need to determine the setbacks, number 1. Number 2, then we need to work with the township to find out exactly what the designation is gonna be. Then we lay it out with the engineers here. Our engineers work back and forth to them, and then they come back with a number and they say, this is what we recommend. That's working with McKenna, that's working with the city, that's working with our engineers.
So the plan is to maximize it?
No, the plan is not to maximize it, because you have to have green space, you gotta have density. We're not creating a concrete jungle, we gotta have green space for people. They have to have an area out back, they have to have an area out front. We're not trying to pour a concrete jungle here.
Now, the only thing I was really concerned about is the entrance there.
Okay.
You see how narrow that is?
I do, 100%.
Okay, so...
I concur with you.
Now your setback, what is it, 30 feet from each house?
281.
What do you have left for a 2-way street? And large enough for a fire engine to get down there?
Well, that's the designation that we would work with our engineers and McKenna, to come up with what we need to get into that parcel. Obviously, if we're using 16 feet as a standard entrance in, right? And 30 is the setback, is a side yard setback, that leaves you with 4 feet on the other side for green space.
Because you're only 1 foot off of their property.
No, 4 inches.
No, it's not.
That's what it shows on the survey, and that shows by meets and rods.
Someone's not.
Yeah, it's 4 inches. I got that from a survey.
And we have our survey as well.
Could you provide it for us?
Not tonight, but yes, happy to provide.
That would be awesome, because we paid for a survey to be done, and that's what they show on the survey.
We paid for a survey to be done as well.
Even back then, I was...
Garage was on the property, right?
I'm sorry?
They also showed like the garage was on my property?
Just part of it.
We required a secondary survey because the occupied land still has the existing fence from the 60s back there. That has not been removed, and the lawyers that we're talking to...
172.
We are trying to work this without going to lawyers, but we have
That's
to
for here
find
to this
out...
pin, I believe.
You've already got, the law's already right there. You can't do any adverse condemnation.
So this is a sticking point for how do you proceed with a development when there's a conflict of
First off,
7 feet of land?
You didn't do your due diligence when you bought the home. That's what happens.
You did a due diligence after you bought the home. It's like, you know, and
Have you been in there over a year, under a year?
under a year.
Under a year? So when you purchased your house, when you purchased that parcel, the real estate agency and the real estate company, they have a fiduciary duty that if they misrepresented the property to you and sold it to you, that there is recourse to go back.
They did not misrepresent because Mr. Iannucci never had a survey until after we bought it. So there was never any definition other than
172.89 means
the legal
172
description
rods.
that is in the deeds from the county. And
I understand your plight.
It shows on the county that the garage is over.
I understand your plight, but it's the same thing. You gotta think of it in that aspect, like, if the garage was on your property, you said, hey, your garage is on my property, I have a survey, and then he goes and gets a survey, and it shows the same thing, well then, somebody made a mistake when they sold you the property, and he got the survey to prove it. So, now that he has the survey, there's a sticking point there.
There's a Michigan law with with occupancy. If that building has been there for more than 15 years and it's been more than 35.
But that designation is for residential, not for B1
It
designation.
is residential. It has been an occupied.
But you're zoned B1. Or B2 rather. You're a B2 zone, that's what I'm saying, there was misrepresentation.
This is part of Cottrellville's challenge because two families lived in it for 65 years.
Yes, 85/40 is hers.
And now suddenly you're trying.
Well, I think that's before it was subdivided and split off. That had to have been.
No, what's subdivided? It's never subdivided.
It was split off, this wasn't one parcel from day one.
What, that was split off, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
The brothers that owned the project.
Yeah, there was a subdivision split on this property, that's how this ended up in this pie-shaped configuration.
1919, yeah.
I understand, but it was subdivided and split off. You're saying, that adverse possession, it's, you can't, the real estate company has to, there's fiduciary responsibility on the real estate company, they made a mistake. That's what, yeah, exactly, they carry liability insurance for that.
That's what I explained.
Michigan laws state if a clear and open occupation for more than 15 years, it's not challenging, it's part of the land.
I'm wondering if,
That is
No, it's not.
215.
It's part of the land.
No.
Yes,
Real estate law is very sticky.
yes, we understand.
246.
Like I say, I grew up there, and that fence has been there since I've been 10 years old.
3 feet.
I'm 73.
2.89 plus.
So that fence has lasted 63 years? I want to know where to get that wood, I'm gonna build all my fences with
Two
it.
little fence posts about a couple pieces of wire, that was original. And me growing up there, I know where that was. And that has always been there since day one.
We all had those fences in the 60s.
When it was,
You remember those?
At the railroad.
all of them.
Green posts.
Still
Back
there.
of the
286,
All
and
this
then
time.
you've got,
Until now.
official, but that's good. But now things change because if you're gonna build on the property, you have a structure that's on there that's not supposed to be there,
Time limit.
so.
Roger could have done that when he bought it 6 years ago, now it's part of the resolved.
I think.
But he didn't have a survey when he bought it.
Correct. 6 years he had
So
a
now it's on them?
survey.
But
Finally gets a survey after we purchased.
the owner
6 years
the owner of the property did tell me
after.
that I was on the property, I wasn't gonna bother Glennis with it because she was in the owner.
I understand.
So,
And it's not like a lot of land here we're talking. 2 feet.
Yeah, but it could change with the setbacks.
Maybe he didn't do his due diligence, how about that?
Who's that?
Roger, when he bought it, maybe he should have researched it then.
I did.
And he would have known.
I already know.
And now why didn't you go to Glennis and say, well, by the way, you know your building's on my property?
Scott,
She was still
I
alive.
didn't know that, yeah, but she wasn't healthy. I just wasn't,
Well, I'm just
I didn't
saying,
have a point to have to bring it up at that time.
well, maybe you should try working with the neighbors.
those numbers, this
I did, all I want is insurance, Scott. I'll tell you
No,
this,
no,
if
no,
you're
it's
gonna
not
drive,
that.
you're gonna drive the car without insurance, you
I'll have to
respect.
agree with this.
No.
You can get insurance.
He wouldn't give me insurance.
It isn't like he's doing this on purpose, he's trying to make them a home.
No, and that's perfectly fine, that's great. And being as a contractor, I have to have insurance before I enter a property, so if he provides a copy of insurance, I don't think he's being unreasonable.
we need copies of all this.
We need just double checking the math on the survey, it's not adding up.
We need to actually
Maybe you have
straight from this.
That is.
I asked you directly.
What she's saying.
What she has.
Same as say we need to get more clear information on this.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about.
Something's not adding up here.
What about, I told you from the word go,
Dimensions that he's got.
You were gonna tell us from the word go, that building,
Lance, we might
first thing
need
we
you.
got, take that building down, take that street down, and we're like.
All right, guys, all right. Is there anything more you have to?
No, I mean, I'm just going with what I have, right? So I pulled up your master plan from 2020, it's 170 pages. There is an allowable RM1 designation on here. I can give you the number, cite the number for you. McKenna cites it in their report as well. You can access it. I know a lot of the folks said, well, how would we know? Well, it's online. I think they've researched some of this stuff, but this is online as well. I pulled it offline myself.
What do you mean online, the city, township, the state?
Yeah, Cottrellville Township.
The county?
Yeah, and I'll give you the page number, right where it's listed as.
Yeah, but they,
That won't make much of a difference.
you're not gonna lose 0.2 of an acre, right?
It's 132.500 RM1 multifamily residential districts, and then 132.501 intent, and 132.502 principal uses permitted. It goes on to talk about what the permissible uses are. I think that's what McKenna also pulled off and they referenced when they wrote the report. That was
Just
good.
looking at the survey here, and I ran it through an online calculator, the numbers they're projecting in the survey, and what comes out in the calculator, there's like a discrepancy just in this information on what's coming up. So that's kind of a concern.
I've got the recorded copy from St. Clair County. That is not the recorded copy with their stamp on it. what
This
they
is,
wrote in.
but this, okay, this is what was submitted.
Well,
So,
that was just, I think that's.
Can I approach real quick and bring my survey?
sure.
Let me show you the survey that I have. Let me see if that matches what you guys have. Just the one submitted by Drew here.
Barb has that survey here in the office too.
467,
430 of 25.
430, 25,
And are you showing 50 right there?
50.
Rods and meats. You showing 261, or, yeah, 261.05.
261.
05. And then you show 205.58.
Yeah.
And then on the
215.
215 dead nuts, meat and rods.
Right.
Okay, and
This was
then,
246.85.
and then you show 50 across the side back here, right? And then, what do you show on this side right here, 246.65?
Yeah.
And that's the meats, 246.65, and those are the rods, 243.39.
I know.
I also got the original email from the engineers,
And then this separate piece has a separate parcel ID number over here,
which shows the parcel one.
right here. It shows it up here, just for parcel ID numbers.
And the other presented from St. Clair County. And they put-
One is for Roger's house and one is for the piece right here, that's directly across the road.
Tax ID.
This is lot number 2, and there's lot number 1.
Is what we got.
So SKL, they did the meats rods and they did the survey, and that's what they recorded in the county.
I know.
So they recorded it as this. 0.9 would be, that's drastically different.
That's what it feels
Can I
like.
see? It's not, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right.
I'm not saying point, it was.
No, the residents say 0.9. Where did you see 0.9 in, by the way, I'm sorry?
That's on the St. Clair County website.
Is it a drawing? Can I see it real quick?
It's the whole thing right there. You know that?
Yes.
Yeah, 0.9,
This was submitted to the county.
but that was. I'll give you a copy of mine.
No, I'm doing from the county. If the county doesn't match.
No, I'm sure.
This is on you.
That's fine. I don't want to argue about it.
That, I don't care about kindness. It's done that.
We're gonna have to table this.
Discrepancies, I don't really care for.
How they
I don't
kept
want to sign for something.
it.
Talk about something.
Yeah.
They saw
Like, their service.
Yeah. I was just, well, you know, I'm just comparing the difference.
Is that's their parcel?
Yes.
Which has its lot number associated with it, and then lot number 3, directly across, and that's this parcel, which has its own separate tax ID number, parcel number, and then this has its own established, this
We should
is
at least
surgery and.
mass check these against each other on top of it at this point.
We're gonna have to check with the county too.
You're saying that this is lot 1 or 3?
This is lot number 2.
This is lot
This is.
Lot 1 is here. Oh, all right, you're saying lot 1 is over here.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it's showing, lot 1. And then this is lot number 2,
We want to frame
this is lot number 3.
Okay, well, this here says it's lot 3 outside.
No, his house is parcel number lot, it's parcel lot number. That's it, see how that number is like, that's where it's all.
Right.
Has this in the office.
So then, which lot is,
So this is lot number,
or is this all one lot?
no, it's been subdivided, that's why it was split off. This is part of it, this is part of this, that's why it has its own parcel. Because we split it off.
So this has a different lot number.
Yeah, that has a different lot number.
We did a split on it.
We don't know what it is.
This is lot 3, I believe, so they split it.
Okay, is
You
it-
split this piece off.
No, this lot 3, no. Lot 3 would be over here to the south.
So this lot is adjacent to his property. So when he bought this lot number 3, he had half of this lot, right?
Yeah.
So this and this were one, and what he did was he purchased it, he went and had it subdivided, created a lot number for here, and then created a lot number for here. So he has two parcels.
We gotta get some copies from.
So it's not showing a lot number for this.
Then there's the part.
And this here is,
It's recorded, that's, this lot is recorded.
okay. So what lot number is this one here then?
I actually physically.
Okay, so, and this side of the old lot line is,
Lot line is here. So.
okay. Oh, this is the electric.
Yeah, this is the electric.
Miss,
All right.
do you have a copy of your,
I didn't bring it tonight.
no, you do have a copy of your, is it? Yes, is it possible for us to get a copy of that?
Off the property line here, 2.9 feet off.
Well, no, not at this point, for the next meeting.
But it shows 2.9, I think. I'm going with
No, it's a copy of her. BMJ done yours? Okay.
If you look at St. Clair maps as
They
well.
did the also
you show
occupied land, additional.
Right, let's close public comments and
So we use SKL as well, outside of projects with, from this year, I use them on my own projects. So they're pretty much right on the projects with, and they just surveyed my property, and they were right on the money. I mean, they're very thorough in their surveys. But if there was a discrepancy, the county, because they got mixed up with numbers, and they don't show them one for 2004.
All right, is there any other public comments at this point?
you know, when you get to the agenda item, McKenna will have a report that they can report.
Okay.
They found.
Unfinished business, Ianucci Development and Building, parcel number ID from B2 to RM1. Under the circumstances of the little discrepancies we're seeing, I would like to get a copy of the parcel from Barb, which shows everything in a little more clearer factor than what we have here. And I would like the copy of your BMJ stuff.
Barb has both copies.
Barb has your stuff
Correct,
too?
yeah, she does.
Okay. Alrighty. I would entertain a motion on us tabling this until we get the other information from Barb on both parcels and for us to
Nice.
review it.
I think we could probably get a report from McKenna on what they have found.
We can do that. We can do that while we're doing this. Would you like to address us, sir, on this issue?
Thank you again. My name is Brian Kesey from McKenna. Hell of a way to meet you all this evening. We did submit, Ashley and I submitted a letter that I believe made it into your packet. And I want to start by saying one of the things that we're doing with this review and with this analysis is trying to figure out, it's very clear within this report, the current zoning is not what this community wants it to be. It's not, nobody wants to see any of the uses that are allowed in your B2 district in the backyards of some of these single-family homes. Your master plan talks about a waterfront residential designation moving forward, approximately 1 to 3 units an acre. So that was defined back in 2020. I know you're working on the update to the master plan right now, but that, in my mind, is the piece that the Planning Commission should be focusing on, that any applicant for rezoning of the property should be focusing on, is that it needs to be residential in character, and we should be aiming for that 1 to 3 units an acre based on what's on file today. Now, you might tweak that a little bit as the master plan moves forward, because this is not the only property in this stretch that is dealing with the same issue, right? So what I want to encourage you to do is, yes, this review says you've got to rezone this to get it out of B2 to follow your long-range plan for the community. Whether the Planning Commission this evening, or if you table it this evening and you want to move forward, you think that a density that could go under the RM1 zoning is inappropriate, maybe it's too much, and maybe R1 is appropriate, that's entirely up to you to make that decision. There are also things that an applicant can do to illustrate the types of development that you might end up getting, right? So in a traditional rezoning, a lot of times we simply don't understand what it is that the applicant's actually going to build, because they're not required to submit a site plan to you. You don't know if you're going to get 5 units, you don't know if you're going to get 40 units, and that unknown is huge, and it can be problematic. So while the township cannot require an applicant to submit that information, it certainly does go a long way towards strengthening the case from the applicant that, hey, this is what we're aiming to produce for this. Not every applicant is going to do that, because it does cost money to prepare engineering plans, even concept plans that give you an idea of what it is that you're going to get there. We also have to be cognizant of the fact that eventually, if we rezone this, whether it's to RM1 or whether it's to a different designation in the future, that you do have an opportunity for anything that's not single family and anything that's not a duplex unit will come before the Planning Commission as a site plan. So you'll have an opportunity to address some of the things that I heard in public comment about landscape buffering, so that headlights do not become an issue, that you have photometric plans that show that any lighting in the parking areas are not going to impact those existing residents. You will have control during the site plan review process, unless the owner chooses to do single-family homes or a duplex on there. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward, that anything that's not one of those single-family or duplex, you're going to get a crack at the very specific elements of a site plan in the future. So please keep that in mind. I don't think I need to go through all of the standards that are in this review letter. You have it in front of you, but I do want to highlight a few different things about one thing we talked a lot about is traffic. That is studied by your road commission on a regular basis. Quite often we use the Institute for Transportation Engineers has standards for land uses that are in our report here. And I highlighted some things. Again, this is under the impression that today it could be B2, so it could be a retail store that gets 66 vehicles on any given weekday. A restaurant would get 90 vehicles a day, something like that, per 1,000 square feet of floor area. A typical residential unit, you're going to be in the 8 to 10 vehicle trips a day. So keep that in mind as you are adding or considering adding residential units.
Residential meaning multiple or residential meaning standard R1?
About the same, about the same. Okay, well, I'm sorry. These are professional estimates based on real-world observations. You'll get a single-family home is about 9.5, a two-unit condominium or townhome, 11.6, 3 units, 17.3, and kind of adds from there.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That makes sense.
like I said earlier, I think one of the issues though is most all these traffic studies, the ones I've looked into basically are either volume observations or volume predictions, somewhat with frequency broadcast throughout the calendar year. But again, I think what's unique in this case, just to keep in mind is the line of sight issue for the vehicles coming and going, especially the one direction. Because even at 35 miles an hour, so that vehicle's already moving at about like 53, 55 feet per second.
Yeah.
And then you're pulling out, so that's where I think where people were expressing that, and that was an observation I kind of just observed it myself. Again, I'm not saying that's, an official scientific study, but as everyone knows, when you're driving, those things are happening to you repeatedly. It begins to, build credibility. So I think that's where the concern was stemming from.
It's a good point.
The volume swing, a few hundred this way or that way out throughout the years is the issue on this type scenario.
Yeah, I think.
For most people, it's 45 and 50.
Yeah, in my mind, while we're talking about the rezoning, we're talking about big picture land use, and so I'm looking at overall volume that a site is going to produce. So if we got 10 units on this site, about 100 vehicle trips per day, in the scheme of things where you're talking about 4,000 a day, kind of a drop in the bucket for volume, but the geometrics matter, and the geometrics come into play when you start talking about the site plan and having your road commission review where that driveway is coming in, whether any vegetation needs to get cleaned up to make that a safe intersection, whether acceleration or deceleration lanes are required. The road commission could in theory require the applicant to build those within the right-of-way to minimize traffic impacts. So those are things that I would absolutely expect, but I would not necessarily expect to see them at the rezoning phase of a development review. So.
Aren't there apartments in that area just right before you get to the park? They're upstairs, there's two buildings.
Further. Quarter mile north of Roberts Road on the straightaway.
Straightaway.
Before the turn, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
At the farmhouse there.
Yeah, the farmhouse.
Before Robert.
Let the gentleman continue.
Go ahead.
So I think that's the big piece that I wanted to review in this. We did include 12 criteria, and right now your zoning ordinance doesn't have specific criteria. How are we going to review a rezoning? And so we're kind of shooting with best practices more than anything. So the things that I have in here, 1 through 12, are best practices that we utilize in communities across the state. Some of them are more applicable to a situation than others. For example, number 7 that we have in here is rezoning necessary to avoid exclusion of a lawful land use. We're not dealing with that one in this instance. But we are dealing with things like, is the proposed rezoning more appropriate than the existing zoning is today? And I would argue, yes, any residential zoning is more appropriate in terms of following your land use plan than what is on the books today. It's very clear from the discussion that you're having this evening that there's more information that needs to be hashed out, and the direction that you're going is fine. The information that you are asking the applicant for, clarification on boundaries, those are certainly reasonable things to do. Just as a point of our service, we do typically provide a sample motion at the end of a review in case you want to use that to formulate your discussion. The motion in here is a recommendation of approval to go from B2 to RM1. Again, that's highly based on you don't want it to be B2 in that area. So, but with that, I can take any specific questions you have. I can help provide some guidance, or if you'd like me to summarize some of the bullet points in terms of giving the applicant a bit more clarity on what to bring back to you so you feel comfortable making a specific decision, I'm happy to go that route also.
Do they do a pedestrian check at all, any ratings like that? Like bicycles and joggers and all that stuff?
The ITE does not, no. No, they are focused on vehicular traffic within the roadway in front of a property.
There's a lot of pedestrian. All these years I've been at it.
Question being,
Yes.
for this area, there is a big difference between RM1 and R1. With the surrounding area there, what do you recommend? Yeah, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
In a room full of people who very clearly do not want multiple family.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much kind of set already in the surrounding area as being what I see as R1, because they're all single one-family residences.
Yeah, you have a lot of smaller properties along that road that quite literally couldn't accommodate more than a single-family home. You do have other multiple family uses on that, albeit it may be down the street on a straightaway. You have other things going on in the area, but looking at the overall development map, these properties, especially at the very south end of the river, are your smallest kind of high-intensity areas within the township. I think that there is a way to accommodate some sort of a middle ground between the maximum density that could be built under that RM1 district and the R1 district.
Okay.
But I would, if I were sitting on your board, I'd probably ask for some clarity on what that number is going to end up being, because I think that matters. There's a big difference between one unit or a duplex versus, you have a maximum of 25% lot coverage in the RM1 district. Based on the room calculation in your ordinance, I've got it as maximum, there could be 36 bedrooms. Based on the site, I actually don't think that 36 bedrooms is feasible. Yeah. But I don't think that's necessarily feasible because a large chunk of this property is in that the narrow, I'll call it the throat that leads from the property, or from the roadway to the bigger chunk in the back.
Correct.
I think the actual number is going to be a lot smaller than that, but without an engineer drawing it out or sketching it out, I can't tell you exactly what that's going to be.
Okay.
The other thing is, it's kind of setting a precedent too, because we don't have townhomes in this township.
Yeah.
So it'll be the first one.
Let me, adding to that point. So with this rezoning application, the applicant's entitled to anything that's within your list of permitted uses in the RM1 district. They could do townhomes, but they could also do a single-family home. It doesn't necessarily, there is not a specific plan in your application for townhomes on this property. So when you're considering the rezoning, we're really looking at the full list of uses that are permitted on that property and trying to evaluate what's the most impactful. In this case, it is townhomes, most likely, but that's something you always want to look at in a just straight traditional rezoning is everything in this bucket of uses is on the table if the applicant is not committing to a very specific use and a very specific plan. So.
So I'm saying go with the max possible displacement there.
I think a lot of questions could be answered at that point, is if the applicant would in turn let us know exactly what they are planning if this was to go through.
That's certainly the case. And so the State Zoning Enabling Act allows, and there's a bit of a fine line because it allows for conditional rezonings. Some places call them contract rezonings, but it's basically an applicant offering to the township, this is the plan that I want to build. You as the township can't require anything from that process. You can't say, well, we want to see more landscaping or we want to see less units. You are accepting an offer. Basically, it's a surety that this is what we're going to build, and if we don't build this, we're going to revert back to the old zoning. So that is something that an applicant can do to provide the township some surety that you're going to get the product that is presented to you. So a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot of times, sometimes when a municipality feels uncomfortable about a rezoning, an applicant will decide to offer conditions that do make you more comfortable with it. Hey, we're going to limit the number of units on this property to X. We're going to make sure that there's 30 feet of screening between existing residences, things like that, that would negate a lot of what I'm hearing from the public tonight, and puts the township in a bit better position to understand what it is that you're going to get. Again, with that process, we can't require it, but it is a way that that both sides can benefit from that discussion with a bit more surety of the outcome. So.
Okay, any other questions?
I do have one, if that's permissible.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You had made mention of acceleration and deceleration lanes. Now, obviously, that's going to have to encroach on our property. What rights as homeowners do we have, or do we have none?
Your road commission can't obligate improvements on private property. They would have to.
There's a right of way.
Yeah, they'd have to build it in the right of way.
Center line of the road to, is it 33 or is it wider up there?
I thought it was 33.
It's 33.
Yeah.
66 foot wide road, so it'd be 33 feet on their side of the road.
Okay.
So it's possible that it feels like your front yard, even if it's within the right of way, but yeah, the road commission can't obligate you to give up property.
Also, I believe being it's on M29, the state will require a county.
Okay, so the state could just say, if we're taking it as ours.
The state's gonna say, if this was going through, he's gonna have, you have to apply for a permit from the state to put a right-of-way in a paved right-of-way.
But that would be if it was a B2 designation as well. If the state requires it.
Either way.
Either way, if it's RM1 or B2 and the state requires it, then that designation, they come in and do what they're gonna do.
That's right.
Yeah.
The state's gonna dictate it's
Yeah, it's a
what's
munition.
gonna happen. Right. Then there's nothing that any of us can do about it.
I suspect, just from doing this for a while, that whether it were to be developed as B2 or whether it were to be developed as a multifamily, that ingress and egress design into the driveway is going to be similar.
But there are no setbacks required on that commercially. You don't have to have a 30-yard setback or 30-foot setback on the ingress and egress. I can go 16 foot in, 16 foot out with a center median.
It's not part of the 50-30-30?
No.
No, there's a different set of setbacks for the existing zoning district, yeah.
Any other questions for Brian? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thanks for the information. You're confident about this.
Thank you.
All right, as I was talking about before we had Brian come up, I would like to get a copy of the survey for your property from Barb and some clarification on the survey that we have here in regards to making the, make sure that the parcel is the 1.35 acres as it is stated here. Anybody else have anything to insert into this?
Possible that you'd be willing to give us an idea, be able to give us an idea? I'm not asking for drawings or anything. I'm just asking, like, how many units?
It's open-ended now because I'm not going to invest in something I don't know I can get or not. I mean, it's just, it's not feasible. They can tell you it's not cheap.
All right.
I mean, a feasibility study and the cost of something like that could exceed $25,000 to $40,000.
Oh, okay.
At least you guys want to loan the money. So, on another note, something I didn't mention before, and it didn't dawn on me, you said that the visibility is an issue there. Is that correct? You noticed yourself that the visibility in that area.
Because of the curvature of the road.
Just FYI, the house that's being renovated, the old antique store, is only about 10 or 15 feet off the front property line. And it's being renovated. Shouldn't it be 35 feet back? Wouldn't that be something to look at? That isn't a line of sight as well. That is part of the line of sight issue. Back then, nobody gave a damn, but now, we're talking...
But if the house was, say the house burnt down or something like that and then was totally being renovated, then it would have to meet the other setbacks.
Well,
At the point.
it isn't totally burnt down, but it's being totally rebuilt inside and
But at
out.
the point in time where it's at, it's still existing.
Okay, I just wanted to point that out, that's part of the visibility issue.
No, and I understand.
And it's not something that's their fault, it's not, but if you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, that is part of the issue.
It's 20 feet from the road.
Okay. Would anybody like to entertain a motion?
I mean, as, in the site plan, if we were to do the rezoning, we have the ability to critique and do anything with the site plan review. So my opinion is we should go ahead with the rezoning and all the surrounding B2s should come in and apply for rezoning as well.
Rezoning, my question is, as what? RM1 or R1?
I'd be okay with either.
I wouldn't. I'll leave it the way it is first, because I have other options, and I don't want to go that route, but you know what?
I'll be damned if that's what I gotta do, I gotta do. No, it's not a nice neighbor, it's business, Amy. You bought something you're investing in, so
We
did I.
got a bit of an issue too, that the township probably should have stepped in and made a correction on this a long time ago. And there's
Actually, back when we rezoned your piece of property the first time,
The other one, I rezoned it willingly.
I understand that, but we should, at that point in time, we
I
should
didn't
have.
own that piece at the time either, though.
No, I understand, but like I say, what we probably should have done is stepped in at that point in time and rezoned all the other ones the same way.
Right. I agree.
And we've got people that have set up, you
They're
know,
all
homes and
residential
been here
homes.
for quite some time.
Yes.
Under the existing condition.
I mean, all that information you're looking for is in that office down the hall. Everyone's, mine and the Jarvis's as well. So it's not like it's something that has to be gone over another month before you can find out. You can have that answer tomorrow. Today, if somebody wants to
Yeah,
look at the
I don't
office,
see it
look it up.
necessary to table this and go another month. I really don't.
At this rate, this is costing me money as well.
What's that?
I said we need more information before we ask for a vote on anything positive other than a postponement.
Or can we just postpone it like for a week or so until we can see this stuff and then just have a special meeting, you know? Just to answer all the questions that.
I don't know if we can have a special meeting like that.
Oh, okay.
That I don't know.
There is just, you know, just a couple pieces of paper trying to clarify everything.
I'm not sure if I'm
I think we
remembering
need to
this
have-
right, but doesn't the ZBA, if they call a meeting, the people calling it have to pay the people on that board? Doesn't get paid over the township, because we had that issue with our neighbor in a barn. So if
You mean for a special meeting, you're saying?
Yeah, for a special meeting. I mean, I don't know if it's ever been done here, I don't know if it's a
No,
possibility.
we had a special meeting a few months ago with the ordinance change. There was an extra meeting.
Right, that was with that.
And I think you gotta have time for notice, though.
You guys are allowed to call it a special meeting if you want. You're okay to do that.
How much notice? Be noticed, though, correct? You need time for notice? Correct?
Well, a special meeting's 18 hours. So if you guys want to call a special meeting, it's not a public hearing, you already held the public hearing, you're allowed to call a special meeting. So as long as there's 18 hours notice, you can call a special meeting.
Okay.
I think they've declared that they, investment-wise, they want the maximum number of units they can get.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
And again, with that, I want accurate square footage, setbacks, the whole shebang, because discrepancies between the county and us, between obviously surveyors, what have you, let's get that resolution first, so that way we're all dealing with accurate data.
Well, what is,
That way nobody can get upset.
what is the date on the one that you have?
The one that I have?
Yes.
From the county?
Yes.
I think this was entered in 2022. It was last sold in 2022. This was updated. This is a lot area is 40,162.9 square feet, last sold on 2022.
August.
And then this was updated July 2023 on the tax bill details.
Okay, we would have to ask Barb then at that point in time to have get an updated thing from the county and compare and see exactly what's what then at that point.
That would help me a lot.
So. All right, I don't know if we can set a date at this point in time in order to see when we can have our information. That I don't
I
know.
think we're just gonna have to table it until we need clarification on some of this information.
Correct.
Chris wasn't thinking we needed that, but under the circumstances, I feel we do.
Yes.
I'm speaking for myself.
I kind of agree the same here. Anybody want to entertain a motion on tabling this until we have the information that we need?
I'll do that.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Is there a time slot here?
I have no time frame at the point in time until we get the information that we need. We will get with Barb and see exactly what Barb can get from the county. And then,
She got it from the county.
We're going to clarify all that.
we're going to clarify.
What she got from the county, you know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Because they sent it to her.
Well, I mean, we're looking at your survey and then her survey, and then to make sure everything coincides with the county at that point. And
At
then-
that time, did you make a designation on the zoning from B2 to RM?
Yes, we should be able to,
I would
yes.
think so, yeah.
Okay, because I have a 120-day PA on this, so, I mean, I don't want to wait 60 more days.
I totally understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see it as soon as we could, you know, where we get the info and get together and take a look at it.
Yep, I agree. All right, B, under unfinished business, is the site plan review for Sean Treadway at the location of Joe's Garage, formerly Marine City Auto.
Excuse me.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Well, done. I want to see what you want to say.
That's been. Hi Commissioners, thanks for having me and Brian here with you tonight. I'm here to talk about the plan review for 8494 River Road, Joe's Garage. This property owner is seeking to add fencing around the property as well as some new storage areas. The site is in the B2 General Business District. This plan was tabled at your last August meeting due to a series of missing information from the site plan. Since that meeting, the applicant has made some minor edits to their drawing based on Planning Commission and building official feedback, and we've been able to take a look at that drawing in relation to your ordinance requirements. And I'm happy to quickly walk through what we were able to see and what we recommend moving forward. So in the B2 district, any parcels that are abutting residential districts are required to provide a required wall of 4 feet and 6 inches. As of right now, we have a drawing of the proposed plan, but no information around the actual height of the fence. So that's information that we would need to be able to move forward and approve it from the applicant. Beyond that, another requirement of the ordinance is for these required walls to be located on the lot line, and if it's not located on the lot line, the Planning Commission can approve a different location. Again, just based on the drawings, it's not quite clear where the fence is proposed in relation to the lot line and in relation to other properties, so we would like the applicant to provide a little bit more information as to the location of the fencing in relation to the property line of that parcel for Planning Commission to take a look at. The third requirement of these required walls are that they should be constructed of materials that are approved by the building inspector. We want them to be durable, we want them to be weather resistant, rust proof, easily maintained. The ordinance also excludes wood and wood products, but materials can be approved by the building inspector and zoning administrator. Right now, again, the zoning does not, plans provided do not provide any clarity in terms of the materials of that fence, so we'd like to hear from the applicant in terms of what materials that they're using, just so again, as you're building this fence, you're enhancing the aesthetics of the corridor, making sure it's something that stays strong and stays looking good for a long time.
I have a question if I can.
Sure.
So you say wall and fence, so to me a wall is a wall and a fence is two different things.
I can take a look at your ordinance. I don't think they define walls. I think walls themselves can be a masonry wall, it could also be a fence, just some sort of buffering around the property. Right, a lot of applicants, I would say, would probably prefer to do a fence. A masonry wall around the whole property could probably be pretty expensive, but that would also count. And I can take a look at your ordinance to see if there is a definition for walls. My understanding is that they're looking to build a fence. And as we were reviewing the fencing, we took a look at some township staff and public safety concerns about the site in general, even beyond the fence, one of those being the dumpster enclosure. On these sites, dumpster enclosures that house dumpsters are required to be enclosed with reinforced solid walls and gates with a latch. The walls and the gates shall be a minimum of 6 feet in height. As of now, it doesn't look like the dumpster is being screened in any way. Dumpster enclosures, especially if they're in the front yard and visible from the road, should be compatible with the building and approved by the planning commission. And so as of now, we would like a little bit more information in terms of where that dumpster is located, as well as any information around the dumpster's enclosure, and to identify the material type, the height, and any landscape screening of the dumpster enclosure itself. And then finally, as part of this application, a letter from the building official, which is included in your packet, documented a series of code violations and fire risks at the property that must also be addressed by the applicant. And that includes approved containers are needed for all oil and used fluids that need to be at least 5 feet away from the building. Again, that dumpster trash enclosure to make sure that your dumpster is being screened. All outdoor storage, including storage of cars and other objects, need to be at least 5 feet away from the building. And I'll talk about, when it's specifically for cars, there in the ordinance there are limits in terms of how long these cars can be out. Addition of a second egress door from the property, removal of birds in the attic, repair of all holes in the siding and the walls of the building, repaired plumbing, and repaired electrical hazards. And as I mentioned, as in the B2 district, auto repair shops are not allowed to have outdoor storage of any kind, and so all of those items need to be removed. And specifically, there's no permitted outdoor parking of damaged motor vehicles except on a temporary basis. And so those need to be moved per building official and fire chief instruction, just to ensure adequate ingress and egress on the site. And so at this time, we are recommending that we gather a bit more information from the applicant, first starting with the fence. So we want to hear a little bit more in terms of, the height of the fence, specific dimensions on where the fence is being built in relation to the property line, and additional information as to the materials and design of that fencing for approval. And only after we have that information could we make further action. And we think any action on the fence should be conditional on meeting the fire and public safety concerns from the building official. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Thanks.
I got one quick one.
Sure.
I just been checking around other auto repair shops, like that. And just in Marine City and stuff like that. I noticed in the evening, out front, there's no cars at all. They're behind the fence or in the drivers themselves. Is that something? Do we have an ordinance like it covers something like that right now, or?
The specific requirements of the ordinance require 72 hours where cars can be stored outside. It doesn't say anything about hours of day, and so I don't see that there. I could look and see what Marine City has in their ordinance that, allows for that movement, but for now it's just around not storing them for more than 72 hours.
It can be there 72 hours.
Right.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Day or night, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we need more clarification from the owner at this point in time.
We do.
Did we ask for specific photos last time of the current condition as well?
Yeah, I think that was in the email. It was black and white, but you couldn't really.
No, I think we asked for updated current photos.
Right, I think, did you submit the updated pictures?
You said it.
Yeah, they were in there.
Were they?
Yeah. Yep.
There was one.
legible word.
No, I
Not
agree.
quite legible, but submitted.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks very.
Did you get the stuff from Nick, the list of everything about fire chief and the exit signs? Were you given the report from McKenna that shows the things that need to be addressed? So you know, you're aware?
Yes.
So you know what you need to do?
Everything's up, so too.
Okay.
Okay, just to, I think, clarify on it.
Sure.
Where would they have, do they have to follow the property line around the whole property, or is it just partial? Or?
So the ordinance states that fences should follow the property line, but planning commission can approve a different location for the fence if they feel like that's more appropriate for screening of the site. We just gotta know where it is to.
Activities of the business.
Exactly.
So was that kind of discussed the last time around, or?
Well, the last time around, we said that Nick was gonna put together a list of issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And then I believe that we asked for current photos and proof that those issues were
I think you're right there.
addressed.
Yeah.
And then there's information McKenna's added on.
Okay. But I guess I just wanted to ask about the fence, do we have is there a certain area that we feel should be enclosed, or should be enclosed, or how far, how that's gonna?
It looks like there's two sections, like one going this way, because I drive by there and check it out.
Yeah, keep down.
There is some fence
The
up
building
there.
inspector approved my drawings and gave me the fence permit, yes.
Right. So Nick's approving what he feels is the recommendation for where the fence should go,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
Chris, as in regards to McKenna's recommendations also, do you know?
I would assume. I know, as she stated, it should be on the property line, but I think Nick had okayed what would kind of hide what's going on right now.
Okay.
I brought the drawing and
There's the
approved it, and he did give me the fence permit, yes.
Okay.
Nick approved the area where the fencing is now. He did ask for additional things. The dotted line on that paper is what he's asking for additionally. If you notice that there's a dotted line in there.
The red dotted line.
And I can't quite make out what he wrote. Oh, he wants his tanks for the oil containment
Yes.
back in that area.
Well, I haven't got that.
So, and he did say that this was a quick process. McKenna got approved 2 weeks ago at our township board meeting. They did a very great job of putting this together real quick.
They did.
We haven't had a huge amount of communication yet. So Joe did do some fence work already. But the building inspector, the building official, Nick, and I both agreed. We read the report, and he agreed with that report that all the conditions set forth in there, based on our ordinances, 72 hours, all of the other conditions based in that report should be part of your guys' approval process. They do need more information. They can get with Joe and get that information. But Nick agrees with, and I'm speaking out of turn, I'm speaking for Nick, but we did speak today, actually yesterday. He does agree with the recommendations of the planning committee, or of McKenna, the planning advisors. The only thing he did add was that little dotted line in the red to say that he wants the storage containers behind that line.
So subsection 3, there shall be no outside storage or display of any kind except for display of new merchandise related to the primary use of the facility and for retail sale during the hours of operation of the facility.
Absolutely.
And then McKenna in bold does not comply. Applicant must remove item rooms and outdoor storage per building official and fire chief instruction. And then subsection 4, there shall be no outdoor parking of damaged motor vehicles except on a temporary basis not to exceed 72 hours, so it's defined. Junk parts and junk vehicles shall not be kept on the outside of the building, and then McKenna is indicating does not comply. Applicant must remove outdoor parking of damaged motor vehicles per building code official and fire chief instruction to ensure adequate access and egress to the site.
Absolutely, and he has come a long way from where we started, but he's got a long way to go. These things need to be done, and they need to be done on a consistent basis, which means that it'll be constant enforcement.
In a certain time frame also.
Absolutely. This needs to be done fairly quickly. I mean, winter's coming, we're...
3 and 4 is what we've had the public in here complaining about, right?
Absolutely. And obviously, we had Mr. Furtaugh here with valid concerns with used oil container and antifreeze containment. All valid complaints. So Joe's got a long way to go to meet those guidelines. I personally recommend we give him a shorter period of time. He had 4 years since 2021, and only started the day that we revoked his site approval. He's got to get it done.
Well, at this point, do we think that those should be met before we go forward?
Yeah. Absolutely. Everything on the site, I mean, I don't know if we can require him to meet these conditions before we approve the site plan. Then yes, absolutely. If we can require him to meet these conditions before we approve the site plan, then meet those conditions, I'm behind it 100%. Because, and then once those conditions are met, it will be a constant act of enforcement. We will watch the cars and document the cars for the first year. Every 72 hours, we'll take pictures. I mean, this is good. This is going to be enforced, Joe. This is going to be enforced.
I understand that.
Every other auto facility.
72 hours, you bring the car to my...
You've had the same Mustang sitting out there for 6 months.
And
it hasn't moved. Nothing. Hasn't moved. The ordinance will be followed.
Okay. But I'm here to make your job easier too.
What you're saying is like, if he parked it behind a fence, does that 72 hours come into play, or is it gotta be just, or out in front, sitting in the lot?
Technically, he's not supposed to store damaged cars in the fence. If we decide to allow him to hide the cars back there, that's up to you guys.
That's what you told me originally.
But the pop-up campers still sitting out there?
Yes, it is.
Since last November, when we towed everything else, I told you that pop-up camper had to go. And it's September, what is it?
It's not the same camper that was there originally.
Yes, it is. It's the same camper. So anyway, these ordinances will need to be followed. This is the Armageddon on the ordinance enforcement. Okay? What they put in place will be followed. So you can require him to meet all these stipulations and come back for approval next month, give him 30 days to approve, to make these changes. We can have Nick go out the Monday before the meeting.
For compliance,
make sure, and then we'll have Nick come here and tell you guys he's either in compliance or he's not. And this is his last chance. I am not going to do any more begging or pleading with him to comply. So whatever actions you guys take, that's it. I'm at it. That's where we're at.
This is the same ordinance that was used that led to the judgment, correct?
Pardon?
This was the same ordinance that was used that led to the judgment prior under Mary Agnes?
Correct. I mean, we towed quite a bit of things. At that time when we towed those vehicles, I think he had 3 or 4 impaired vehicle, or whatever they call them, the repair vehicle plates that were confiscated. He did not have a valid operating license for an auto repair facility at the time. He since changed names of the business from Marine City Auto Repair to Joe's Garage to get a new license. And we're still trying to fulfill the requirements that were set forth back in 2021, which were not met. So now we've changed those requirements to make them easier to meet, which he started to meet. But all of these other things need to come into play and be adhered to. If you guys want to give until the next meeting, and we can send Nick out for compliance, and that includes the wiring that's uncapped, the things along the side of the building, the holes in the building, all of the above.
Broken plumbing.
All of the above. And I can even have chief.
The fence and everything.
I'm saying everything. I mean, most businesses aren't allowed to open until these things are done. He's been open since 2021 in that facility with doing nothing. If he can accomplish these things before the next meeting, I'm okay with you guys approving the site plan. Everything that's in there, he needs to accomplish those tasks, get it done, and then he can move forward. And we will take pictures every 3 days to make sure that he complies. I mean, we drive by it every day, so we know what's going on. I mean, if you want to hear from Joe, you guys can hear from Joe, but Nick concurred with everything that McKenna had put forth in their presentation.
So Nick will make sure that everything in McKenna's presentation and whatever Nick feels needs to be done.
Whatever Nick felt need to be done, as well as Chief Slankster from the Marine City Fire Authority. That's an important one. When he had the fire last December, it was kind of difficult for them to get to the building with all of the garbage in the way. So these things are being required so that they can get to the building easier next time.
Now, the electrical compliance inside the building is also part of this, correct?
Nick had a whole list of things. You have his list? Yeah, it's all in there. There's
broken plumbing.
Covers need to be put on the things. The exit signs need to be put in place. Plus, whatever the other electrical conditions were, I don't know them off the top of my head. But they're in there. So, if you guys want to require that before approval, which I'm 100% okay with, these things need to be done.
I'd like to see.
So,
you think you're capable of doing this in 30 days?
Pardon?
You think you're capable of getting this long list done in 30 days?
Probably be 60 days. Can somebody talk, or is it against the rules? He's been there 5 years and hasn't done nothing. The police oil is a big deal.
All right.
It ain't a tank you push around with a tractor whenever it's in the way. It's supposed to be in a self-contained pit, twice the capacity of the tank. I might be stupid, but I know that. There's a tank law, you cannot be buried in there's secondary containment, and it's absolutely correct. But you can't bury the tank in the ground anymore. What do you mean? You don't bury it in the ground, you can't close it. That's what you said. That's what you said earlier.
All right. In regards to your question, Chris, what do we want to do? Do we want to do 30 days and go from there?
Yeah, we should have him required to get it all done in 30 days and
go from there. He's had time. All right, would somebody like to entertain the motion?
I'll entertain the motion to give Joe 30 days to comply with the McKenna report as well as the building inspector's report.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 30 days for compliance. All right.
Thank you.
New business. Thank you again, Ashley. Chairman reports. I have none. Chris?
I do have a report. The police contract starts January 1st. So we will have patrol, the speeding problems, we'll send them out to address those. And, yeah, we have police.
With that contract, how many does it specify how many units or how many officers we'll have for a
We
specific
own
shift
one.
period?
We own one for 6 hours.
Is that 7 days a week?
But if there's, if he needs backup or whatnot, there'll be other officers called into the area, so at least we have something to start with, and we're gonna have to try, we're having address the problematic areas, so.
Okay.
Is that, like, say, 7 days a week or is 5 days?
Yes, 7 days a week, yep.
At least it's a step in
Sounds
the
like
right
he could pay
direction.
for himself if he just went over there in Robert's Landing and put his gun up.
Right.
So if there is an issue, do they still call, I mean, like, let's say when you did have a speeding issue, you want to report it, just go through the normal channels?
Yeah.
Are they, are they gonna have a separate number for the township?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know. So we'll have to find that out, but,
It's still go through dispatch.
yeah, still through dispatch.
Okay, through dispatch, all right.
All right, commissioner comments.
Just one quick question. The hours are not consistent as whenever the sheriff decides to send them for every day, correct?
Greg, are the hours set in time or no?
I believe, no.
The hours are not set. I actually just signed the contract at the end of the day. I thought we signed it a few days ago and sent it, but apparently I didn't. So we signed it today. The sheriff now has the contract. It's going in front of the commission, the county commissioners for approval. I believe they've ordered the car. It will be 6 hours a day. It could be different hours throughout the week based on need, where they're supposed to be, where are we having the most incidents, what time are we having the most incidents, and where we need him and what time we need him on those days. Those are all things that are going to come into play. I believe, and I'm not sure, I believe we're getting Deputy Adams. They've already talked, so I believe that's the name, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, those hours are gonna be part requesting us and then part their command, right? Because they're not gonna, I wouldn't think they're gonna telegraph that, hey, our guy's on patrol from
that's
every day. Outside of that, you ain't gotta worry about it.
And that's where I'm at. That's where it's like, okay, he's on, that particular deputy's gonna be on duty 12 hours a day. Their duty is 12 hours. What 12 hours?
Right.
I'm not sure. Do we want the first 6 hours on the first part of his shift for a couple of days and then maybe switch to the second 6 hours? These are all things that are still gonna be discussed, but we have 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we have, now that we're in a big conglomerate, hopefully we'll have faster response times. Within the last couple of weeks, I've had phone calls where like, people think we already have the police contract, and they're like, it was 2 hours to get them to our house. I said, we don't have the police contract yet, but that will change once we have the police contract. So, again, they've mentioned that it's gonna be January 1st, so that's where we're at. We're just waiting for the final details. The car, I believe, is ordered and is being outfitted, so I believe they even had to hire another commander, so, or a supervisor. I'm not 100% sure on that, though. So, yeah. We don't know what the hours are, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's where we're at.
No speeding going on.
I tell you, we're going to get, that's going to be our target is speeding in several different areas of the community. I don't believe the Shane-Starville Road project is going to happen this year because of by the time they get started on it, it's going to be after October 5th, and the asphalt might not be, the plant might not be able to supply, it's only 500 tons of asphalt. So depending on how quick they can get it done, they might not get it in time to get the asphalt, so they may wait till the spring. I do have some news. We got the bridge funds for on the road. We got approved from the state. Although those are for 2028. But as well as the road commissioner, working and getting the bridge funds that weren't used, aren't going to be used on next year's projects because of problems, transfers, hopefully we can get the bridge done next year, our road hopefully, next year.
So that'll be a 2-lane bridge, isn't it a single lane now? Or like a lane and a half?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's whatever it is, it's $1.3 million. Our share is roughly $33,000. I've already committed those funds.
So you can use next year's money for that right off the get-go and then use whatever you have
Well-
for 2028 for the other stuff then?
What I've got going on with the roads right now is to finish Shortcut Road is gonna cost me it's gonna cost $260,000 next year. Out of that, $100,000 is road sharing funds from the road commission. Our portion is $160,000. So what I've already done at the last meeting is I've taken $60,000 out of the general fund and given the road fund a loan of $60,000 to cover that project for next year. I'm gonna have to do that for the $33,000 for the next thing. But what I've done is, in the resolution that we've done already, is the 2027 road funding that would come in, which is our last year for road funding, will cover that 60, and now it'll also cover the 33,000. So I'm giving a one-year loan to the road fund to cover those two projects, so that Shortcut Road is...
For it to come back to you?
For it to come back from the assessment, the road assessment will go back into the general fund the following year. The way that works is because originally we were gonna try and get the project that was fiscally for 2028 done to 2027, but I've been told today that fiscally that we might be able to get it done for 2026. It's not set in stone yet, but I'm told that the odds are very, 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 very good. We've been told that this is probably gonna happen.
You're gonna make some farmers very happy.
Jeff Austin's gonna be ecstatic, because he doesn't have to drive his equipment all the way around to get to the other side of his field now, because of Bobian Creek.
Hey, Greg, has there been any touch with the state on any funding at that point in time?
Say that again?
For the state, is there any funding available in the near future for anything, for a grant or anything that would help us out?
For the bridge?
Yes.
But that's actually, I think 70% of the entire project is coming from state bridge funds. That's what we were waiting for. In the spring this year, we applied for the state bridge funds. And because it's the road is already closed, there were several other factors that played in, so our point system were kind of at the top. But we're a rural community, so that kind of drew from us, but they did grant us the bridge funds. And that's what we're waiting for September. I got the phone call today, which I'm ecstatic about, that we did get those funds, because if we didn't get those state bridge funds, we would have had to apply for the federal bridge funds, and that might have been another 3 years down the road. So the fact that we got these funds in and itself is a bonus. And the fact that they knew I'd asked it that if we did get it, can we get it done in 2027? They went a step further and they said, well, we've asked, because you are saying you would have paid for it I would have paid $200,000 out of the general fund to put culverts back in if we didn't get these funds. But they wouldn't even do that. But they knew that I'm pressuring them to get it done, so they asked if we could get it done in 26, and so far it's looking good that it's going to get done next year. So that's where we're at with that. I don't know where I was going with that, but that was, bridge funds, road funds, the police contract. Any other questions you guys got for me?
I got one.
Yeah.
Angela had sent out email about some things on the agenda that are unclear. I think our bylaw said that we need a recording secretary. Who's taking the minutes?
I'm taking the minutes.
You're doing them?
Yep. So, I've been taking the minutes.
Is the video from last planning commission, is that available?
Yeah, I have a video from the last planning commission meeting. Yeah, it's there.
Without audio, right?
What's that?
Without audio?
I have audio through most of the meeting. There was a technical difficulty, but I have audio through both public hearings. So both public hearings I have audio with the video.
And it's not posted online?
What's that? I'm not required to post it online. Yeah, no. So that one's not getting posted online because of the technical difficulties, but there is audio. So, yeah.
My commissioner comment is, I want to commend whoever's responsible for all of the young people that are using our fields. The parking is full. All of the kids are out there playing, and that building is coming somebody's doing a good job here, I think.
I'll commend Angela, the clerk, for helping bring the AYSO here. I don't know if you guys know this, but we signed a contract with the AYSO for $25,000 for use of the park over 5 years, so they pay us $5,000 a year for use of the park. With that, we've agreed to do some things. We're going to add a second entrance to the park. I did expand the parking lot 30 to 40 feet. I did get some millings from the road commission to do that, and I spent my time with my equipment, and I went back there and extended that parking lot. hopefully we can get more millions over the next year, and I can continue to expand the parking lot to fill that. The building got started yesterday, today's Wednesday, yeah, the building got started yesterday, the new building. So that's being worked on, and I've spoken with the St. Clair Community Foundation, and I'll be applying for a grant to pay for the well and septic and to finish the bathrooms in the spring. We're gonna apply for that in January. One of the other big things is we got a grant, which I know we mentioned, for engineering and planning for the Bridge to Bay Trail. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago with 6 different entities, one of them being the Roy Wilson Foundation, who's supplying the money for the grant. And they actually offered to give us more money for the grant now that they found out that MDOT does not want us to go along the shoulder of M29 for the trail. So we're looking at 2 options. One is going on the west side of the ditch, but that's not a great option because some of the houses are too close. So we've actually, I've started putting together a letter, which I'm going to be sending to 24 or 28 landowners along the Marine City Drain. The Drain Commission has said that they're willing to allow us to use their 200-foot easement for a Bridge to Bay Trail coming up through Algonac State Park to the Marine City Drain, all the way up here, and then to Shortcut Road, and I haven't spoken to the Westerts yet, but they now own the Shortcut Road easement on the other side of the road where it dead ends. And if we do get permission to use these easements, then we can connect up 2 parks and then still run back and connect up to the Marine City section of the Bridge to Bay Trail. And the foundation has said that because we've discussed this plan of coming back here and connecting parks, that they're willing to close out their foundation on grant money, giving us the money to put these trails in. So it's a matter of getting the permission from the landowners to step on the Drain Commission's easement that's already there. Part of that would be allowing farmers and landowners to access that so that they can get to their properties through that trail as a benefit to allowing us to do that. Some farmers would be able to put in temporary culverts to get across the drain to plow the back part of their field. They can now use this to get to that. That's just one of the things that's being discussed. I'm still putting the letter together, so any landowners, I've talked to a couple of them already, and it's promising. So that's one of the things I've been working on, so you guys are aware that the Bridge to Bay Trail is another major, taking another major step forward. We will be talking with AEW engineers. I've already spoken with them about possibly doing the engineering for the project because that's what our grant is for. So yeah, a lot of good things have been happening over the last 6 weeks.
So can the food truck come over here when there's all these people?
Pardon?
Can the food truck come in there and you got all these kids playing baseball?
Yeah, the food truck can come in. And like I said, next year hopefully we have a concession stand. And our park girl, Kaylee, might be able to run a concession stand during soccer games. But a lot of good things happening. So that's my report on that. If you guys had any other questions for me? No?
I think we're good.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Yeah, that's it. So I cleared up a couple issues.
Thank you, sir.
Any other commissioner comments?
What's that?
Any other commissioner comments?
Oh.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
8:24.
Right.